Hi everyone, it's Coach Melis, and this is your encouraging word for the month of June, and it's all about trust your map. Now, I know some of you are like, what does that mean? And I'm going to explain here in a moment. But I want to remind you that this is the year that God desires for us to literally move in advancement, to experience purpose, and to find that fulfillment that we always wanted, right? But it's not just what we will receive. That place of fulfillment isn't just for meeting our needs. There's also this place of fulfillment of what God is doing in our lives because it's bringing about a greater solution for his kingdom plan and purposes. We are just part of the puzzle piece to his kingdom, right? And so when I say trust your map, I want you to think about Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. It says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Lean not on your own understanding, but in all of your ways acknowledge him. I want to break this down because I believe that if we're going to be moving in advancement, there has to be times in our lives where we have to be fully trust on and trusting in God, not trusting in our own abilities, not trusting in our own skills, not trusting in our own gifts, but it's a true place and posture and position in our hearts where we have to trust him. Even when things seem chaotic, seem dark, there's no clarity, it's in that process right there that God is wanting us to press in more than ever, trusting him. We have to have a confidence in his character. And I think that's the place, if I could encourage you this month, to really build into your confidence about who your God is, because he is the God who changes not. So we have to look to his nature. We have to look to his ways, because if he is a covenant God who doesn't change, that means he's always going to be faithful and true to his nature. So we can build confidence and knowing his nature will always remain consistent, continual towards us. Oh, come on. And so there's this place right now in this season where God is saying, I need to move you in advancement. And in order to move you in advancement, that means I need you not to look at the ways of how you would have done something in times past, the conventional ways, but I need you to see that I'm going to do something unconventional. And I think about when Joseph had walked around Jericho with the people of Israel. God had given them orders on how to take down that city. It wasn't by conventional means. And I want to say to you, part of your advancement isn't going to be conventionally done the way society does it. And that may be that God's going to have you break out of a certain pattern because he wants to do something greater than you can ever understand. But you cannot rely on your own understanding, which is point number 2. This is where we're learning to not just rely on, but we're leaning on how certain patterns are always done, how we have always done it this way, or maybe we have executed it in a certain way. I think about it from a business perspective. I think about how many times we kind of follow mentors, follow other business models, and they've had success and building their business or their marketing plans from certain points of view. They've relied on it. And so we start to put a lean on that, full reliance. But the problem is that when we put our emphasis on certain areas that don't have true stability, that aren't concrete, that can be shaken, then we can get shaken. Come on. And I think about, when I put my phone up against something and I lean it and I would move that phone would then fall. And I think that the caution here is, where are we leaning? Who are we leaning on? Because the person that God wants us to be leaning on is Him. That's where we're putting full weight on Him. That's where we're putting the full outcome on Him. Come on. And so I just want to encourage you this month that as we are trusting in our map, that we can rest in the assurance of God's faithfulness as we trust in Him and lean not on our own understanding. But the third part is that we acknowledge Him. And as we acknowledge Him, He will direct our paths. I love this part because the acknowledging part keeps my mind set, focused on Him. It's observing Him. I'm in connection with Him. I'm reminded that Jesus said, I don't do anything unless the Father reveals something to me. Or Jesus also said, I don't speak something unless the Father's spoken it to me. I believe in this season of advancement and moving in our purpose and experiencing the fulfillment, it is a place of greater connection with God. It's observing Him. It's observing where He's working in our lives. It's that place of getting to know Him in a greater degree that we've never experienced before. You want to trust your map? Trusting your map is trusting God in a greater way, in a greater detail in your life that you never begun to think of. And now we're in this situation where we are moving with Him. We're experiencing Him. See, because God's ultimate goal for your life is for you to know Him better, to experience Him, to be in relationship with Him. I think when I wrote out trust your map, I think so many times we want the blueprints. We want everything laid out, how this is going to work and how that's going to work. And how am I going to accomplish this? And there's some parts that, yes, that we are to be smart and wise and plan. But we can't rest there. We have to rest in Him, trusting Him, because that's what advancement is about. Because as our trust grows in Him, our confidence grows in Him, our courage grows in Him, but it also grows in us. And we start to walk out our journey of what He's asking of us. So trust your map, not what you can see, but who He is for you. That's your map. That's where you need to focus, because it's in the connection He will direct your steps. I pray you be blessed this month. I pray the blessing of the Lord upon you. I pray that everything that you put your hands to would be blessed, and that you recognize and that you realize that God desires for you to advance this year, that you operate and fulfill your very purpose of where He's calling you, that you respond to the invitation of the call, and that you will experience fulfillment in so many ways with joy, peace, and the goodness of God. Have a phenomenal month, and I'll see you soon.